got hit with an ugly stick, Bob.
Holy shit.
I need Jeffrey Dahmer.
Look who got beat with the ugly stick. Is that you, Bob? I can't believe such a teeny-wee little gun makes such a big mess out of someone.
What of your mind?
You are so ugly, Bob. You know it's gonna cramp your style with eggs, Beta. You know that, huh? Especially on Miss Prince up there. And hey, I heard you have one of them big poop bags. Like shit comes out like land. You big old shit bag, ain't you, Bob? You just think of me every time you open that motherfucking thing, motherfucker.
Quiet. Stand there.
Right.
One more word, young lady, and you're going to be gagged. The People versus Vanessa Julia Lutz. Your Honor, due to the heinous nature of this crime and the defendant's obvious lack of remorse, the state moves that Vanessa Julia Lutz be tried as an adult.
Your Honor, my client is an illiterate child. One only has to look at her to
Oh,
see.
I've had my look, and I.
Oh. Well, I guess that's it. That's possible.
So should we start off with CJ since he's the one that brought this?
Yeah, I think
CJ
we
brought
should.
this. Cousin Jeffrey brought this movie to us to take a look at. Now I've never seen the movie. It is from the mid '90s, which is before Young Lion was even born. So I know he's never seen it.
True that.
And so we literally wasted 2 hours of our lives to watch this movie.
I knew it. I knew it was
So
coming.
we got to
Oh
give
my
CJ a chance to
Try to redeem this.
Yeah, figure out why we had to do this. Why we had to go through this.
Well, this is one of those movies that it's very 90s because if you're looking at it like as a serious, like just, you're taking the whole thing seriously, you're not going to like this movie. This movie is not to be taken seriously. It's supposed to be a twisted rendition of Little Red Riding Hood. If you pay attention to some of the funny things that happen in this movie is great. Now, the storyline is bad. It's not there's nothing about the story that really makes sense, but it's not supposed to. We did a review on The Bad Touch, if you remember.
Yeah.
And we said in that if you're looking at it from how you normally rate a song, it's not going to do well. But if you're rating it on like the campiness or the funny parts of it, then it would get a different review. So for me, I find this movie hilarious. Like, there's a part where this guy's trying to proposition her, and she steals his car, steals his money, makes him get in the trunk, and he says, "I get claustrophobic." And she's like, "Well, I get claustrophobic sucking strange dick." Some of those parts, like, for me, I'm a comedy person, and I like different types of comedy. So I enjoyed it. Now, I'll say the first time I watched it, I wasn't a fan. I watched it again, and I actually picked up on some of the funny parts.
Well, why did you watch it again, though?
Because my wife liked it.
Oh, well, that's a wrong
Well,
answer.
the wife made him.
I'm not saying the wife made me. I'm saying she loved it, so she wanted me to watch it again.
Into it.
She cracked the whip on him.
No. Don't start that. We don't need any more comments on Cousin Jeffro.
That's true. Dear God.
So.
Well, what did you think, Young Lion?
This movie sucked.
I knew it.
I watched this movie. I came home one night after work, and I was like, told the old wife, I was like, man, we gotta watch this movie. Jeffrey wants us to watch it. It's for the channel.
Oh, we got another one with the wife. So
Right.
what did the wife think?
She also hated it.
Okay.
We started watching it, and around the scene where she gets in his car, I'd already figured out the entire movie. I was like, oh, so he is the raper.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious standpoint. Obviously, she's an idiot, and I don't know. There is funny parts to this movie, like that scene and the end when he's like, "That's not all I did to Grandma." I don't know. There are some funny scenes, but overall, the story was very lackluster, and there was a lot of things I felt like were not needed at all, and they just went ahead and they're like, "All right, go ahead and throw that in there. We need a little bit longer of a movie for whatever reason." And the acting was mid at best.
Oh my goodness.
Mid at best.
Oh my goodness.
So that's.
I knew this was gonna get torched.
Okay, for me, like CJ is saying, okay, he's saying that like he on the second viewing, he viewed this as a comedy, more or less, or like it was like a comedic effort. It wasn't. It was kind of tongue in cheek. Okay, I knew nothing about the movie going into it,
Sure.
so I'm watching the movie. I'm just watching the movie. It didn't seem like a comedy to me. Now I could see someone saying, in hindsight now, saying, "Oh well, it was kind of like it's kind of called classic. It's almost maybe they meant to be funny, maybe they didn't, but it is kind of funny now or whatever." At the time, though, when I'm sitting here watching this, I've never seen this movie, heard anything about it. I had no idea. So I'm just watching the movie. I thought it totally sucked. I thought Reese Witherspoon's performance in it was like a -10. She really could not act.
I agree.
And like her whole rendition of the Southern redneck, I thought was not hitting home with me at all. Like I didn't think she was pulling it off at all. I did like Kiefer Sutherland, but I like Kiefer Sutherland, so maybe that's the reason why.
Okay.
And I originally, when she got with him, and he had the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing with the side cut and the side part he had on his hair and all that, I thought it might. Okay, now this is getting ready to get good because now he's obviously the killer. He's got her, and this is going to be this sort of psychological thriller for the rest of the movie, where he's going to basically end up trying to kill her. Maybe she gets away, maybe she don't. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be good from there on out. Well, she promptly kills him, or thinks she does.
Should have.
Shoots
I don't
him
know how he survived.
Yeah, shoots him like point blank. And so now I'm going like, okay, so where exactly is this going from here then? That would kind of throw me, through a left hook at me. That wasn't, like they always say, the punches you don't see coming, they're the ones that knock you out. So now I don't see this coming, so now I'm sitting here going like, okay, where exactly is this going? And then she ends up like in jail, and she's kind of like supposedly like this bad bitch, and then she goes and they kill this guy in like a gas station convenience store, which is like the fakest. I mean, I realize this is mid-90s, but mid-90s wasn't that bad as far as like how fake this was. And they kill this guy and the girl, and then I'm sitting here watching all this, and I'm like, how much more of this do I have to go through with her bad acting and all this? And then it turns out that Kiefer's still alive, and I'm like struggling here, guys. I'm struggling, and so like I'm going through beer. I'm like drinking 6-packs trying to get me through this whole thing, and like so it finally gets towards the end, and she goes in and finds Kiefer Sutherland, an albeit injured Kiefer Sutherland, as you see in the clip, but like he's at her grandma's house.
Yeah. Keep in mind, this dude has been shot like 3 times in the spinal cord.
Yeah, well, he can still move.
Twice in the head.
He can still move good.
So I have no idea how he's not even paralyzed.
So he still moves good, and like he's got a gun. He dresses up in this sort of grandma get up or whatever. She comes in. She's 17 years old. She's 115 pounds, soaking wet, and a full-grown man with a gun somehow or another cannot fend her off. She goes on an ass-whooping spree, whoops his ass. He's firing the gun up in outer space as she's whooping his ass. I mean, like, it's like the most. I mean, it was so fake and silly. I guess the way CJ's saying, like, if you look at it as a comedy, I guess I could see that. But like, no teenager is whooping a full-grown man's ass regardless of whether he's got a gun or not. This dude had a gun and still couldn't manage to shoot her. Like, if the situation was reversed and she had the gun, she would have shot him in about 0.2 seconds and the whole fight would have been over right there. But for whatever reason, he's a full-grown man and can't manage to shoot her. And does she take the gun from him? And
No, she doesn't even shoot him. She gets the extension cord that the grandma's neighbor brought over and strangles him to death.
And then the cops at the end of it, who seem to have like an attitude towards her when they first interviewed her when she was in prison, come out after he's dead, and she's like, hey, can I get a cigarette? And for whatever reason, now they kind of like her, I guess.
They're best buds. They start laughing.
And they kind of give this sort of snide, sort of like, yeah, good job, bro. And like I'm sitting here going like, this is a -8 on the scale. I cannot get it. I don't see it.
He gave it a -8?
Yeah,
-8. That's probably the lowest rating I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's a -8. It's negative. And I like Kiefer.
Yeah.
I don't like Reese Witherspoon.
So I don't know, have you guys seen Scream 5 by chance?
No,
Yeah, I've
I
seen
choose
it.
not to.
So if I throw out a huge spoiler right now, are you going to care?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what Dad was saying about how this 115-pound teenage girl overpowered this full-grown man, at Dewey's death, Scream 5, she somehow overpowers Dewey. Out of everything he's been through, this girl who's in probably 10th grade overpowers Dewey. And I feel like that's something that is not allowed. That cannot be happening at all.
Especially,
that is so stupid.
especially if the man has a freaking literal.
He used to be a cop. He's got training.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland got a training, and he couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I don't know, stupid stuff like that. Also, what was it? I don't remember. T-Dog or whatever the boyfriend's name was. Chopper. His storyline completely useless in the entirety of the movie.
I think it was
He comes in, gives her a gun. He's like, "Damn, baby girl, I guess I'll never see you again." She's like, "I'll come back for you, Chopper." He dies. What was the whole point of that scene where he dies? There was none. She tries to call him, and she's like, "Oh no, Chopper! Oh no!"
I don't think that's exactly what she said, but
That's exactly what happened.
Okay.
all right, just give me the rating.
Rating.
Wait, CJ, do you have any rebuttal?
Oh yes.
Do you have
yes.
any rebuttal?
No, I mean I'm not gonna try and sway you guys because
CJ,
What can
he's
you-
less speechless. He's less speechless.
Well, can you
I
tell me
just-
why Chopper was in the movie?
well, because it was a plot point. Like the
For
whole
about
point-
15 minutes.
I know it was a plot point. Like she had this one last thing that was connecting her to her old life, and then he's gone. So.
You tripping. Also, I feel like this movie started out...
And again, your guys are looking at it from a serious perspective.
well, that's what I was
so-
going to say. This movie started off in the beginning very serious.
Mm.
Where he
Yeah.
was like kind of manipulating her.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like very serious and like real things. And I was like, what kind of movie am I watching?
Yeah, he
I thought I
was trying.
watching
He
a
was trying
documentary.
to. It was like basically her stepdad, and he's trying to have sex with her.
Yeah, no, he was,
Well, he was.
obviously.
He was trying to.
Yeah.
And it started off that serious, and then it kind of like tried to have some like funny notes. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to even feel about this movie? Like I couldn't decide how I wanted to
Yeah, I
feel.
didn't. Well, I didn't take it as a comedy, so that could have been a mistake on my part. But I definitely didn't take it as a comedy.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's the way they meant it. I have no idea. I don't know what the.
I've
director-
never watched this movie for a serious aspect.
Well, I went into it blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're. I mean, that's the whole point.
But like I said, I feel like the beginning like
if I
30
said,
minutes
yeah.
is like very serious monotone.
If I told you guys what you needed to have your mindset going into it, it kind of
That would definitely change things.
Yeah,
Sure.
it kind of beats the purpose of what you're doing. You're going.
Oh no!
into-
Oh yeah, that for sure. But if you would have said this is basically a comedy, it's like if we all three decide we're going to go up to Indy tomorrow and we're going to watch a comedy show.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be in a certain kind of mood for that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Sure,
mean? So
that's fair.
it's like other than if we said, "Hey, we're going to go up tomorrow and go to Indy and we're going to a Holocaust museum." I mean, there's
It's
you
gonna be
know,
very
But
different.
like with that being said, then that changes. Like if you would have told us that was a comedy, that would have changed our initial reaction.
that would have
of what
changed
this-
mine for sure. Yeah.
What we could have got out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll give it -5.
I will give it a negative. I don't know how to do this. I guess I go like that because I want to give it like negative.
Maybe
8,
doubles?
a negative 8.
-8.
-5, yeah.
Well, see, I went into it with as a comedy perspective.
Now, did your lady tell you that
What?
as a comedy perspective? Where she was like, "Oh, this movie's freaking hilarious. You got it."
So when I first watched it, we just watched it, and then I was like, "What did I just watch?" And she's like, "Okay, now rewatch it and think of it like as a comedy."
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll never watch it again. Sorry.
listen, that's your prerogative. That's what we're here for. Listen,
Young Ina Pops.
it ain't the. I mean, it's the worst. Definitely the worst rating of anything I've ever brought. So that's for sure.
Well, at
So-
least it wasn't whiny.
It was not whiny. It was not a whiny type of movie. I'll give
There
it
you go.
that.
See, I got you.
And it's consistent.
It is consistent.
See, I went into it with a comedy perspective, bringing this movie, so it's a 7.
Wow.
But for comedy, yes.
Jesus Christ. I don't even think it's a comedy. Maybe a 3 best.
Well,
But seriously, in all seriousness, was this supposed to be a comedy though, or was this really?
I think it was. I mean,
I wish we had a
I took
box.
it as a comedy.
Like I said, it had funny parts.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it did.
No,
I
like
mean,
the grandma thing. And
I mean-
Dude, you got beat with an ugly stick.
I
You're
mean,
ugly.
Bob.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know. That could be one of those ones where we kind of are rewriting history, where it's so bad we look back on it and we think it as a I don't know if the director really meant this as a comedy though. I would be
Well,
interested to know if
That's a
he
good
really.
point.
I
Good
think
point.
with anything, what your perspective is versus what they meant it to be, that's always a good argument, though.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, because you could say that. I mean, except for like a horror movie, you know what you're going into for a horror movie,
Sure,
something like that.
sure. Okay.
So
All right. Well, there
Oof.
you have it.
Well,
don't request that.
help, guys.
Let me go ahead and throw out that the movie that you will next see us review will in fact be Superbad. It's my pick, and
I'm just waiting for it
so I already know that movie's 100 times better than this.
because apparently Freeway was super bad.
Yeah, it was super bad.
It was super bad. But I just want to throw that out there to get you guys maybe a little hyped. I know Superbad's pretty well rounded and people like it a lot, so maybe that'll get you guys to watch. So
Can bring us out of this funk we've just ended up watching.
because if
I mean, we went from 30 Days of Night to this.
I know, such a goated movie.
We went like boom. Maybe Superbad. I mean, Superbad is no 30 Days of Night, by the way. So maybe we'll go like this.
I
and
love
we'll,
Superbad.
and we'll get it up to, but we're not going to get it up to Superbad.
Fuck you. Sorry. Sorry.
All
All right. Well, you guys all.
I'm gonna go nurse these wounds.
bandage yourself
right,
up,
guys.
man.
See you next time.